All right, everybody, welcome to a new year, 2024. My name is Carl. I'm the founder of Swim Smart. We've been doing these webinars uh, so far just on like exercise science topics, but today we're actually going to hit up a new strategy. We're going to do some drill progressions for butterfly. And just to kind of bring you guys forward, if this is your first time joining us, we've been doing these webinars and seeing like a lot of activity and growth in the subscribers and viewers, and so I think people tend to like this kind of stuff. And so if you're a fan and you think that this is valuable, like, subscribe, all the typical things. But we thank you for joining us. If you're live, if you're watching the recording, no worries. Glad to have everybody. So again, I'm over here, and I'll kind of shrink myself down to stay out of the way because I'm not the important part of this. So today, when I was coaching, when I first started coaching, I knew how to swim the strokes. Okay, I've raced them. But how do you teach like a 9-year-old how to do butterfly? How do you teach them how to dive? How do you, all the turns, the breaststroke, all this stuff? These are very complicated motions, and so you really need to progress it. It's not like you just throw them in the pool and you say, go do butterfly, and expect it to come out well. So what I tried to do was focus my efforts into saying, okay, what's important about these things? How do you break it down? How do you build it up? And for a new coach, this is something you want to do throughout the season, really. So the previous webinars came from our other book, The Biology of Swimming. This one comes from a new book, the Swim Coach's Starter Guide, and it has a lot more than just about drills and swimming. It's kind of an overview of everything on how to be a good professional coach that me and my buddy Coach Mike put together. So why did we want to make this series? And this is actually why are we starting with butterfly? Butterfly is, for some reason, this is the most popular video we have on our YouTube channel. It's got like 30,000 views in the last few years. It kind of went like semi-viral compared to all our other videos. So we figured we'd start with the most popular and then work our way to the less popular ones. So this is kind of a starting point for new coaches. If you have parents that are wondering like, why do these coaches keep making all these drills? These kids learn like 1,000 drills. What's the whole point? Maybe this video will help explain it to them. Big takeaway, if you're a coach listening to this, you want to break down these complex motion into pieces, and then you want to use the drills to train each piece. And we want to train that every day, and it should be kind of with a well-devised plan, which maybe we'll talk about at another video. But today we're going to go through the pieces of butterfly. So who is this for? I wouldn't use this with everybody. I wouldn't use it for swim lesson kids who are just learning to put their face in the water. I wouldn't use it with college swimmers who know what they're doing. To me, this is like the middle group, like the 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe up to 14 years old if they're like new to swimming, if they're like high schoolers and they just do this on a seasonal basis, and they're not like year-round swimmers like USA swimmers tend to be. So that's who my goal is. And I usually, when I'm coaching, this is how I start off the year, or every new season, is we spend the first like 2 weeks every day learning the drills and learning the purpose behind the drills, making sure that the kids know what they're about, what they're for, and then we use that in training throughout the entire season. So how does this work? Here's kind of my mental breakdown of how I do this. So I break down every stroke into the important pieces. So for butterfly, there's a list of things that I think are important. For freestyle, there's a list of things. For backstroke, for turns, for open turns versus flip turns. So and then each piece has a drill, and each drill has one focus. I think this is so important. I think coaches get a little overzealous sometimes, where they have a drill like 6-and-roll, and they're like, you should focus on your head position and your arms and your rotation and your kick it. It's like, well, I mean, for a 9-year-old, that's a lot to think about. And instead, I'd prefer to have one drill focus on one thing and then another drill focus on another. And we kind of build it up from the ground up. So, in the long axis strokes, once we do those videos, you'll see head position is super important. For butterfly, breaststroke, like the whole body position is important, and staying kind of horizontal in the water, returning to that streamline. But starting from the body position, then we build on top of that. So the arms, the legs, the rotation, the hip action, whatever we're going to build into it, however you want to do it. I'll just show you how we do it. You guys can do it your own way, no worries. I just want to challenge you to think about how you're doing it. And then throughout the season, especially with like 8 to 12-year-olds, I mean, the entire set is built around these drills in order to continuously work on their stroke, so their stroke, even when it's tired, still looks good. I don't know about fast, at least it looks good. Okay, so let's start with butterfly. This is how it goes. And if you guys have questions, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Throw them in there, and I'll try to clarify things as we go along. So to me, what are the important things in butterfly? And butterfly is notoriously difficult to teach, right? Because there's no like in between. You're either not swimming butterfly or you are swimming butterfly, and it's physically challenging. So especially for kids, it can be tough. So number one is body position, right? If the kids can stay horizontal in the water, regardless of what their legs and arms are doing, that's a great start. We can work with that. Timing is huge. When do you breathe? When do you pull? When do you glide? That kind of stuff. All strokes return to a streamlined position at some point in the cycle. So with butterfly and breaststroke, they do that with both arms. With backstroke and freestyle, you do it with just one arm at a time. But it's so important to always be trying to cut through the water and be as hydrodynamic as possible. And then last thing for butterfly is rhythm. And that's kind of tough, and that might come later on. But you know, if I had to choose the 4 most important things that butterfly could break down to, these are my choices. So I made these videos a little while back, and they're pre-recorded, and I kind of used the old app. What was it called? Coach's Eye, which doesn't exist anymore. But I was just talking to my friend Glenn from Go Swim. If you don't have the Go Swim app, they have basically redeveloped the Coach's Eye app into a swimming version, and it works great. It looks amazing. But this is on the old app, so I'm actually going to just play these videos one at a time, and then we'll kind of comment on them and go from there. Okay, so hopefully this will play and that we can all hear it. Let me double check that it will show up. Come on. Okay, let's start this with volume this time. I said in butterfly, like breaststroke, timing is the most important thing, but kids who can't properly float can't properly work on their timing. So in butterfly, we start with just a body dolphin, and the whole purpose is you're trying to keep your whole body, even though it's undulating and dolphin kicking. That's not really a real word, kicking, but we'll use it. We want the body to be on the surface, right? As everyone well knows, once things start getting tired and falling apart, everybody goes kind of vertical, right? They start swimming uphill. But here on the body dolphin, we want to make sure everything is staying on the surface, and we don't have too big an amplitude and we don't have too small an amplitude. It's got to be right in the middle, right? And then from here, we'll start adding in the timing elements. As far as breathing, you know, when I first started doing this drill, I tried to get the kids to time the breathing with the kicking, like breathe on a kick up, and you know, press your head down on a kick, on the second kick, first kick, this and that. It got way too complicated. Just worry about body position, and don't worry so much about the breathing just yet. We'll work on that next. So again, just to reiterate, like, don't overcomplicate this, all right? Learn, a fool learns from their own mistakes. A wise person learns from the mistakes of others, right? So when I tried to first do this drill with kids, I tried to time the breathing with the body motion, with the undulation, it's too much. Like, just forget it. Maybe towards the end of the season you want to add it in, but starting off, just body position, take a breath, go back to the undulation, keep your body on the surface of the water, and if that's all you can do, great. Then we've accomplished the goal of this drill. And every time you put these drills into practice during the entire season, reiterate, tell the kids, hey, this drill is for this purpose. This is what you should be thinking about when we do this. Okay, let's do the next one. So breath, pull, glide drill. So this is all about timing. And as I'll explain, I like to just do it in the shallow end, not actually swimming with it. Hey, where's my mouse?
In breaststroke, we had breathe, kick, glide. In butterfly, we have breathe, pull, glide. And that's what this is doing here. And actually, I do it with the kids not like swimming. We're not going to do 25s or 50s like this. We're just going to go to the shallow end and just start in a floating position. See, we're going to stop in between every stroke. Start in a floating position. Make sure you're on the surface, head down, arms out. We want to start from that good streamlined-ish position, and then get the kids to make the head motion first, right there. Breathe, pull, and then wrap around and glide. And remember, we're not worried about undulating here. We're not worried. All we care about is the timing. Because if you notice, a lot of kids, they get the timing wrong, especially, and I'm gonna say this now. If you use fins all the time with little kids, trying to teach them butterfly, that's a really rookie mistake, bad mistake, because what the kids end up doing is they start swimming with their legs instead of their arms and their body, and so all they do if they have fins on is basically body dolphining across the pool, and they're never forced to fix the timing of the breathing and the pull. So really try to avoid, as much as you can, try to avoid fins when doing butterfly, at least when starting, because remember, speed is not the purpose right now. We want to get good technique down. And I think this is a really good drill to eliminate everything else, eliminate the clock, eliminate the racing portion, eliminate, just take the kids to the shallow end, focus on breathing, pulling, and gliding, and having that pause, especially if you can just get them to pause and glide out here when they're young. We can always increase tempo later on, but getting them to hit this body position in between every stroke is really critical.
So, I think swimming is such a counterintuitive sport. You actually have to, especially with little kids, you have to slow down to go fast. And this is one of those important times where if you can cut out as much things as possible, like, hey, you got to make these 25s on that time, and you got to do this drill, and you got to swim on the right side of the pool, and you got to worry about your hand not hitting the kids coming the other way. Like, if you can eliminate as much as possible and focus on timing, you'll be so much more successful at teaching kids how to swim butterfly. Another thing, and I don't have a video of it, I wish I did, but I see, like, especially kids who use fins a lot. You probably have seen this on deck, right? The kid who takes their pull, the arms hit the water, and then their head follows their arms into the recovery, right? You guys kind of see what I'm talking about. Instead of the head coming down and the arms wrapping around, it's the other way around. Most people think that it's an arm timing problem, and that's not true. It's a breathing timing problem. If the kids don't breathe early enough, then they're going to still be taking that breath by the time their arms wrap around and hit the water. So that's why this drill is called breathe, pull, glide, and not pull, breathe, glide. Because you want the breath to happen early so that the head can come back down early. If you reverse that, it's going to be all mishmashed up. And if you put fins on kids, then that timing of the breathing first and the pulling later doesn't matter, because it all gets masked, and it gets the fins end up being a crutch, and so the problems of the stroke and the timing get masked, and you end up with a really ugly looking butterfly. Even though with fins, the kids can really go fast, so that's why they do it. All right. Next drill here: 3 kicks, 1 pull. So this is basically full butterfly, slow motion. So we're trying to combine the last 2 drills of the undulation, the body position, and the breathe, pull, glide, the timing. So let's see if I can successfully do this several years ago.
The tough part about teaching butterfly is that you really can't break it down all that much. You're either swimming butterfly or you're not. But this is a nice way to make it not so hard. And it's just 3 kicks, 1 pull. So just like on breaststroke we did 2 kicks, 1 pull. Here we're going to do 3 kicks in between every stroke. And the idea is to just slow things down and give pause so that we can think about what's important. So in between strokes we have time to get body position aligned. Maybe we should go back to the beginning of the video, that way you can actually see what's going on here. So while the 3 kicks give you a chance to reorient your body position so that you're not going too far down or too far up, and then because you're only doing 1 stroke every 5 to 10 seconds, I mean not 10 seconds, every 5 to 7 seconds, your arms aren't quite as tired, and so they can really focus on timing that we talked about: breathe, pull, and then that glide phase. But we're essentially 1 kick away from regular butterfly, and we've only done a couple drills so far, and that's kind of what makes butterfly tough. It's just you just gotta do it.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking now. You're saying, why didn't Carl do the 3-3-3 drill? Why didn't he do 1 arm butterfly, 3 strokes with the right arm, 3 strokes with the left arm, 3 with full butterfly? I reserved that drill for later for the timing. Is it the next one? Yeah, okay, for this one. So again, I'm going to challenge the coaches listening. Don't use 3-3-3, like 3 right arm, 3 left arm, 3 full, as your like pretend butterfly. I would say if you're going to train butterfly and you want the kids to do more of the yards but be capable of it, either it's got to be full butterfly with no fins, or it's got to be like 3 kicks, 1 pull. Because and I'll explain in this video, I think 3-3-3 is for rhythm, and then the other drills are for what we talked about earlier. But again, just to challenge you guys not to overcomplicate it, and try not to use certain drills as crutches. Try not to use fins as crutches. So let's watch this one, and we'll keep things moving along.
So this is the 3-3-3 drill. So 3 strokes with 1 arm, 3 strokes with the next arm, 3 full strokes. Very popular drill. I'm pretty sure whoever trains butterfly does it. But I think a lot of times we, including myself, we do it for the wrong reason. We do this drill not because we're working on something, but because it's a partial butterfly stroke, and it's not nearly as difficult to perform as full butterfly. So, and we always want to focus on yards and getting the kids to do more and more. So this is kind of our shortcut in getting kids to do more butterfly without actually having them do butterfly. And I don't think that's right. I think if you're going to train butterfly, and if you're going to do a drill, there should be a purpose behind every drill. So this one is mostly going to focus on tempo. So it's a little easier to maintain tempo and go from 1 stroke to the next, and a little less glide than what we were doing in the other drills. That's why I put this one at the end, because we want to focus on timing, body position first, and then work on tempo. And it's a little easier to do with 1 arm here, but as much as possible, and I'm not the most flexible person, as much as possible we want head and chest to kind of angle down, but we want the arm to reach up and above. And I need to stretch a little more. I'm not quite getting into that position, but kids are more flexible than I am, and if you can get them to reach up and over and have them push the head and chest down a little bit, I think this is another reason that you could do this drill, but mostly this is for timing and tempo, I mean. And it's easier to maintain the tempo with one arm, and then when you transition to two arms, you want to maintain the same tempo. So you set up the tempo with one arms, and then you maintain the tempo when you finish the full strokes there. So one more time at full speed. So press, shoot forward. And I like to have the kids breathe on the side. I know some people like to breathe up front to sort of mimic full butterfly. I think that just makes things a lot harder than they have to be, and I'd rather focus on something other than making them work hard when I'm trying to make them work smart, if that makes sense. So a little less gliding than before, timing the chest and the pull, and then finishing out with good tempo.
Hopefully someday I'll be able to remake these videos with a better quality. The app kind of degrades it for its own purposes, but hopefully the ideas are coming across, right? It's not the quality here is not the important thing. The ideas behind them are more important. And again, if you think that there's that something else in butterfly is more important to you than these things that I've put, then please feel free to change it up, make it your own. This is just how we do it. All right, the last one is this butterfly to streamline. Again, this is another, I think, good drill that if kids are kind of rushing through the stroke, they're just taking stroke after stroke, kick after kick, and they're not really, they're not focusing on the things that we want them to focus on: body position, timing, returning to a stroke. This is another one that helps them pause and reset the stroke in between each cycle. It does break it up a little bit, so obviously you lose the rhythm aspect of it, but again, we want one drill to focus on one thing, and then when we put them all together and do full butterfly, that's when we want all of these different things to come out in the swimming. So this is butterfly to a streamline, so in between each stroke we return to that streamline position.
So this is almost full butterfly. This is butterfly to a streamline. So in between every stroke we're going to pause and hit that streamline, so that we're always teaching our body to cut through the water. And I know, you'll probably notice some people will say, oh, your kick timing's not right, and your stroke timing is different than what you would do in a race here, and you shouldn't do that, this and that. Because, technically I should be kicking maybe right there when I'm not. And then I kick in, and then I kick super early on this. Just little baby technical things. Long story short, what I'm trying to get at is, for some reason we treat butterfly differently, and we always have to be doing this race pace stroke all the time. But if you think about it, that's not what we do with freestyle. In freestyle, we swim, thousands of yards at way less than racing speeds. But for some reason, we treat butterfly with this double standard in that, if you're swimming butterfly, you have to have that race technique and race timing and tempo all the time. I'm not 100% sure that's true. Why not reach and glide and take your time when you're working on drills, and when you have to race, then you have a little bit, increase your tempo and increase your kick timing and this and that. So just some soapbox thoughts there.
Well, I didn't talk much about the drill. That was mostly soapbox things, like I said. But yeah, think about freestyle. The 50 freestyle technique is different than a 200. That's different than 1,000, right? Even if you look at Katie Ledecky underwater, her kick timing is way different in the mile than it is in the 200. And so don't be afraid to do the same thing with butterfly, with breaststroke, with backstroke. And especially if you've got young kids who are new to the sport, remember, prioritize what's important. Body position, the most important, prioritize that. Timing, second most important, prioritize that. and on and on and on. So again, this drill is really meant to slow the kids down, to put all the pieces together, so that they can think about it and make it as good as they can. Okay, so let's say, yeah, those are the basic drills. Like if I was writing sets for a 9-10-year-old group, I mean, it would be full of those drills, or I would pick one or two and we'd choose to train those drills. Actually, before we move on, I've even had kids race some of those drills. So if I have kids that really get hyped up in a race and they spin their wheels and they're not thinking about their good technique, I'll make them do butterfly to a streamline in the race. I'll make them do 3 kicks, 1 pull, which is actually legal. You can actually take as many kicks as you want in butterfly. So you can make them do 3 kicks, 1 pull during a race and focus on timing. Or, let's say the kid struggles with their breath timing. So there's like, we're going to do 3 kicks, 1 pull in this race, and I want you every time to breathe first before you move your arms. And you almost exaggerate it. Anyway, that's problem shooting on deck. But don't be afraid to really force kids to adapt towards a better technique, right? Don't chase the time at this point. The speed will come later. First, we need a pretty looking butterfly. Otherwise, the parents are not going to be able to get good photos of them. Okay, so let's say you're halfway through the season. You've been doing these 4 or 5 drills over and over. The kids are getting bored. You want to switch things up. So if I had to put a group of advanced drills together, these would be the next ones to do. I wouldn't use them every day. They have some drawbacks, so you have to be careful when you use them. You don't want to use them too much. If your kids are older, in that middle school type age, I think it's good for this. So what are some of the other things that butterfly is important for? So tempo, so kind of like rhythm, like you want each stroke to feed into the next stroke, but sometimes kids really get into the doldrums where they kind of dolphin dive and they pause too much. Maybe you've been doing too much butterfly to a streamline. Maybe you want to work on their arm recovery, like the whole group, they reach up to the sky with every stroke, and you want them to kind of hover the water right over the surface. And then reaching high in the water, if I had to pick three more things to work on, these would be the 3, and these would be the drills that I would want to work on with them. So this first one, butterfly with a freestyle kick. So now we don't have to worry, we don't have to wait for the legs to kind of do their up and down motion. They're just going to keep kicking constantly, and that lets the arms be free to move faster. So let's see how this is done.
Here we have a butterfly with a freestyle kick. Again, this is just like breaststroke. This is a really good one to do with fins on because it really speeds up your overall swimming speed and forces your hands to really move fast enough to keep up with your speed. So the main goal of this drill is fast hands and tempo. Butterfly, kind of like backstroke, there's a lot more tempo involved with it than say breaststroke and freestyle, and this is a good drill to kind of work on that by just taking away the timing of the dolphin kick. You can just focus on turnover, and this is a good advanced drill to do every once in a while, especially if the kids tend to have really long strokes and they tend to glide or dolphin dive a little too much. This can be a tool to help get you away from that.
All right, excellent. We'll keep moving here. So thumb drag, this is probably a favorite of kids, trying to drag your thumb across the water. And again, always reiterate why we're doing the drill. Low arm recovery, want the arms to stay just over the water.
This drill is called thumb drag. It's actually really difficult to see, but essentially the idea is, and we'll slow it down here, so as you pop up, we want, a lot of kids don't quite keep their arms straight, or they come in and their palms, their palms are not facing backwards, the palms are facing either down, or, they almost freestyle recover. The idea on thumb drag is that we want to drag drag the thumb through the water around as it comes down, so it forces kind of a little bit better hand and arm recovery position. Let's see if we can catch the thumb drag on this stroke. So here, thumb down and try to drag it through the water. You can maybe see a line in there. It's more, you know, as all these drills are, it's something for their brains to work on, not necessarily what actually happens. But something to try out and change up from doing just regular butterfly all the time.
Alrighty, can't wait for all the comments about how bad my stroke is and how I can't even do these drills, but that's no worries. Alright, wrist slap. So this is focusing on reaching up high in the water. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen kids that that push their hands down to the, you know, to the bottom of the pool. So how do we get them to undo that? That's what we're going to work on here.
So last drill in the sequence called wrist slap. So this is we literally are bringing our wrists together and trying to slap them up in front of us. So right there, instead of a lot of, you know, especially you want to do this with kids who swim really wide to try to maintain tempo, instead of trying to come up and cut through the water on every stroke. This is really good for them. So you want to bring the hands together and touch the wrists up in front. Some people, you know, I'm going to get on my soapbox one more time. If you look at the Rio 100 fly where Joseph Schooling won the gold medal and like four people or three other people tied for second place, every one of those four swimmers who are really fast had a completely different way of swimming butterfly. Schooling had a very late breath. Michael Phelps, obviously, his stroke is pretty famous, but very relaxed. Has a huge undulation because he's so flexible. Laszlo, Jay, he actually brings his wrist touch in front almost on every stroke. He actually comes way narrow. And then Chad, I think was the last one, Chad Leclos, he swam with his head turned sideways watching Phelps all the time. It's just, and so, you know, the end of the story is, if you're chasing that perfect stroke, or if you think there's an ideal, I don't think that's true. I think you have to find what works for each person, and these drills just help fix every person's weakness, right? Everyone's going to have a weakness that they need to work on, whether they come out wide and they have to go narrow, or they come in narrow, they have to go wide, or timing or whatever. And you want to use these drills as tools to fix technique flaws that you think need to change. But don't get bogged down in, oh, they're doing this right or wrong. Find a way that works. That's more important.
Yeah, I think it's really important to see drills as different tools in your toolbox to fix different problems. So if you have a kid, like I said, who's finishing their stroke super wide, especially at the end of a race when they're tired, they'll trade stroke length for tempo. Subconsciously, right? Kids don't think about it, but or they might trade tempo for length, like the other way around. And so depending on the kid, you might want to help train their weakness. So if they're on the last 25 of 100 and they start finishing their stroke really wide and they're not reaching, you would use the wrist slap drill. Like you'd make them do, like like if I were to write a set, I want to make them tired, do like, you know, 250s, you know, fast butterfly, regular butterfly, and then 225s wrist slap, focusing on finishing the stroke all the way through when they're tired. And hopefully that will transition to the race so that the last 25, they'll actually finish the stroke all the way in the front instead of making that bad trade of distance per stroke for tempo. So hopefully that makes sense. And different kids might have different weaknesses, so you might have to switch it up for different kids. But again, if I can just help you as a coach think about the process and think about the problem solving that you need to do for each kid, then I've succeeded in the video, right? I don't, whether you use these drills or not, I don't care. I want you to be able to have a kind of higher level thinking. So that's kind of the gist of it for butterfly. Again, thanks for watching. We have these videos. I'll show you where to find them because I'm more than happy for you guys to like share this with your swimmers, share this with your parents if you want to explain to them like why are we doing all these things, what's the reason behind it. So if you go to YouTube, you just put in Swim Smart Butterfly, you'll find these videos again under the butterfly progression. Again, our most popular video, I don't know how it got around. I didn't do anything about it. It just kind of got out there. There's some background music. Sorry, it's a bit loud, which is the biggest complaint, but people seem to like it. And if you go to like our Swim Smart page, I think we have a playlist where, let me see here, the progression of everything playlist. So I won't play it for you, but we have these for for dives, all the strokes, turns, different flip turns, open turns, and then actually if you don't have internet connection or something, you want to actually download these videos and keep them for your personal file, we have them on our website. So if you go to swimsmarttoday.com and you go to the Bookstore tab, this free downloadables, so there's a whole bunch of stuff on here, but if you get these slides, so it's like a big PowerPoint and it has all these videos embedded in them, so you can kind of steal them for free. You just add them to cart and check out, and you know, you can share them with your swimmers, show their swimmers those specific videos, and be like, look, this is why we're doing these things. This is what I want you to focus on. You write it on the whiteboard, like, you know, breathe, pull, glide equals timing, so that they really embed it in their minds. And then if you want a more comprehensive kind of course or book, let's see here, the Swim Coaches Starter Guide, that's our kind of, you know, if you were to walk on deck brand new, you know, you're a parent, they asked you to coach swimming, you don't know anything about swimming, this is the place to start. And then if you want it in video format, you can go to the Swim Coaches Starter Guide. It used to be called the Swim Coaches Clinic, but it's basically all these videos that you access once you buy it. And it goes through a lot more than just drills and progressions. It's about how to run swim meets, how to recruit you know, officials, how to organize your team, how to write sets, how to do dry land, nutrition, all the stuff that a beginner swim coach really should know. So again, guys, thanks for joining. Hopefully this is helpful. If you do think it's helpful, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Hopefully we'll grow the YouTube channel to make more of an impact. It's been growing like crazy actually the last few months since we started doing this. So thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.